Alrighty, hey everybody, episode number 56 of the Modern Meeting. My name is Adam. I am a compulsive gambler in recovery. My last bet, February 8th, 2022.
And I'm Jen, also a compulsive gambler in recovery. Last bet 10/16/2023.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you? I miss you. I miss everyone.
It's been a minute. It's been a
Yes.
minute. She went to Ireland. She went to Texas. That job you got, holy cow.
World traveler.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we just interviewed Linda.
Oh, I love her.
It was great. It was, so the quick backstory of Linda, so you guys know. So I've told this on the pod, I think before, but long story short, I'm in Columbus. I'm sitting at the Lived Experience Collective booth, and these two women come up to Christina Cook, and they start kind of like looking at me funny and like pointing at me, and I'm like, "What's their deal?" And Christina comes over, and they're like, they want to meet you, Adam. Like they're fans of the Modern Meeting, and of course, I did not. People say like act like you've been here before. I did not act like I've been there before, and I was hugging them harder than they were hugging me. I was so happy.
Signing autographs.
Yeah, so happy and like grateful and appreciative. And it was Linda and her friend Alicia, and so their story is amazing. Where basically one of them is in Ohio, one of them is in Texas, and they pretty much met on the Broke Girl Society and like on like the whole like Zoom meeting scene of the Broke Girl Society, and they have like their last bets are like 25 days apart, and they've literally been inseparable for like the last 15 months.
Yeah.
And and so Linda is half of Alicia and Linda, and she's been coming on the Modern Meeting on Mondays, and she's just been crushing it.
Yeah, and she's just someone that is so easy to connect with. She's got a very diverse story. There's a lot of parts to it, and it's just impossible not to hear a single part and not be able to just in some way connect with that or have it resonate with you. And especially from her story all the way through her recovery, she's got just these little things that she says, and you're just like, oh, yeah, me too. And maybe that's a female to female thing, but first time that she was on the Modern Meeting, I instantly was like, oh, yes, she needs to be a part of my life. But you know what was one thing that I was thinking about as we were interviewing her?
Yeah.
Is we as compulsive gamblers, I know that you've talked about it, I've talked about it, I think she'll touch upon it, is that the strategies that we try to go to with our gambling, like leaving money at home or money in the car and only bringing a certain amount into the casino with you. I mean, I remember doing that multiple times, doing the round trips, going back and forth from casino to house, everything I could. But no one ever told me to do that. Like, no one ever was like, oh, if you're trying to manage your gambling, you should leave your debit card in the car. Like, why do you think those sort of solutions come so quickly to us or so easily to us?
Well, it's interesting because they're not really solutions because we end up always spending them anyways. But I guess it was like me trying to fight the disease, but not really. Like I was just trying to do the right thing to make myself feel better where, after the fact, if I fucked up, be like, listen, I tried my best. I kept the money in the thing, but, I had such a bad beat, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for me, like that's what, but then there were nights where I literally said, fuck it. And I took everything I had.
Yeah.
But I can remember, you ever buy one of those money? There was a little clip thing that looks like, I don't know, like the wallets that you have now that you can just put your cards in.
Yeah.
You could slide the money in and then you couldn't open it unless you fucking broke it with a hammer or something.
I got one for you. I'll let you finish, but I got one for you.
So I bought one of those. I remember when I was in Virginia. This is towards the end. This is 2021. And I remember I like lasted one night and then I went home with it and I broke it to get the money out.
Yeah.
Oh no, there was a key. There was a key. I went home and opened the key and then I just
wine bottles. I used
wine bottles.
Empty a wine bottle.
Yeah.
And put money in it because you can't get out. You can shake the thing. You can't get out until you break it. And it got.
There's a lot of broken glass around your house.
Okay, as someone who plays Keno, pushing buttons, I would be picking dollars out of smashed glass.
Come on.
And
How have you never brought this up?
I don't know. And again, yes, I did hear about the wine bottle thing somewhere, but it wasn't like related to me gambling. It was just, oh, if you want a good way to save money where you can't touch it, put it in a wine bottle. And I was like, oh my God, that's genius. And to make matters worse, which I can't believe I've never brought this up. That's why I say my story is always ever evolving. I, at one point, printed out money to stick in a wine bottle so that people in my life would think I still had a wine bottle full of money.
Oh my
Like,
God.
like printer paper money, arts and crafts. And
Listen,
like,
I mean, the depths of our
yeah.
disease to keep the ruse going, right?
Yeah. And I think that I was so used to scheming and scamming everybody in my life. It just was so natural to do it to myself too. Like,
I
it's
mean,
crazy. And if I'm being honest, this is going to be the worst part.
let's
I
hear it.
broke the bottle that had the fake printed money in it. I broke it open thinking I still had something in there.
Oh yeah.
Like, I knew the printed money was, like, I knew that the fake stuff was in there. It's not like but I was like, oh
Maybe
no, I
there's
think
a
I
maybe
had
there's a
this
20
mixed
in
in.
there. Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
there's a 20.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I don't drink. So every time I did that, I had to I mean, I'll have some wine. I shouldn't say I don't drink entirely, but
Right.
I don't drink bottles of wine by myself.
Mm.
So every time I did that, I'd have to come up with the money to get a new bottle to replace it because I don't want anyone to know that that's what I did. It was so crazy. And I can remember those nights having the little tiny fibers in my glass and in my fingers and pushing the buttons and being
Oh my
like, oh,
God, Jen.
yeah,
I
it's
can't
crazy.
believe I've known you for like 10 months now and you've never brought that up. What a little nugget.
Right. But you know what? That's
Shards
what,
of glass in your fingertips as you're hitting the
yeah.
button.
But you know what? That is why I love this. I love what you do. I love what we do because we get to have people on that just make me look at my own story
Yeah.
in such a different light. And it's why I find it so important that, like, we get people on here. We can hear other people's stories. Why the power of connectivity is a two-way road, right? Like,
Mm.
hearing Linda talk about just some of her little tips and tricks that she did when she was trying to white knuckle it, like, just brought me back to all the little things I did and me being like, why did I even think that would work? Like,
Mm.
nobody told me it was going to work. There was no kind of science behind it. It was just, like I said, scheming and scamming everybody in my life. The addiction was just like, oh yeah, like, you can totally control this, which
Yeah.
you can't.
Yeah. I mean, it's like when you hear people's stories, new stories, it unlocks stuff, memories that you just kind of, you just forgot about. I mean,
Yeah.
we were out there a long time. And, you would think that after 55 episodes of me telling my story, like I've told it all, but I haven't even told it all yet. And I've probably forgot about some stuff. You know what I
Right.
mean? But no, great to have you back. Linda, you guys are going to love it. Here is our conversation with Linda. All right. Hey, everybody. So we have a very, very special guest today. I met her in Columbus. She is someone with lived experience, a fixture on the Modern Meeting, Monday nights, 8 p.m. on Zoom. She's amazing. Linda, welcome to the Modern Meeting.
Welcome, Linda.
Thanks, guys. I'm just really happy and honored to be here.
Absolutely. And we're joined here by Jen. Jen, welcome back. Good to
Hey,
have you.
hey.
And I wanted you on, Jen. Before we get to, I just the reason I wanted Jen on. I mean, for obvious reasons, I want her on as much as she can be. But when I first saw you guys interact on the first Modern Meeting, I was like, oh my God, like, Jen, like Linda is Jen, like, in the future. Like you guys are
Oh yeah.
you're so similar. It's so not bizarre. It's crazy. It's
Soul
crazy.
sister. She's my soul sister.
I mean, it's unbelievable. But like Jen, Linda, whoever wants to go first, I'm sure you guys felt the same way when you first met each other and listened to each other's stories on the Modern Meeting.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I knew from the second that she started talking that like I just said, we were soul sisters. Just there was a connection there. And, in recovery, it's really easy to connect with people on different levels. There's about a handful of people in my journey that the second that they start talking, it's like the juices start flowing and the mind's going. And I just want to almost interrupt them and hop in and be like, yeah, I feel that way too. Yeah. And so it was really cool, especially being on the Modern Meeting. And, you expect everyone to sort of listen to you and to be kind, and you still get all of that connection. But for me to sort of talk and just see it resonating with her, and then her to acknowledge it, but then talk about something else that resonates with me, it literally was like, oh my God, like, am I looking at myself here? It just was the coolest feeling. And since that first meeting that she was on, I don't care if I have my meeting, I try whatever I can do just to get on there so that I can have some of that time connecting with her. It's just been super awesome, Linda.
And you make a great point too, Jen. Before we're 3 minutes in and we still haven't let Linda speak. Hold on, Linda, you'll get your turn. But like you nailed it on the head, where it's like, I get as much out of what she says. I get as much out of watching how she listens, right?
Yeah.
You can just tell, she's nodding. Like, I know it's via Zoom, but like, yeah, like that energy, that support, that the fact that she's listening and hanging on every word, you can feel that through the screen. And I think that's
God, energy. Yes.
yeah, it's just such a testament to who she is. All right, enough of that now, Linda. what about?
I think I can just sign off now and just like bask in, everything you guys just gave me.
Right.
Yeah, that's why these meetings are so important. I am such a visual person, and from the very beginning, my very first Zoom meeting, my camera needs to be on, and it means so much for me to have other people on camera, because that's how I connect. And honestly, connection in this world is what saved my life. Finding connection here. And I mean, I think people can recover any way they choose, but having a connection in a community is a hill I'm willing to die on, because it means everything. Yeah, same. I felt, Alicia, texted me one day and said, you got to check out the Modern Meeting. And she was telling me how much that she loved you. And I signed on and I started listening. Oddly enough, I was leaving the Midwest conference in Kansas City, and I had a 2.5-hour drive home, and I listened to you all the way home. And it's, I felt the same connection I had with the Broke Girls Society when I first heard their, podcast.
Shout out Christina.
Yeah, shout out Christina, because there's so many people I can attribute to saving my life and helping me in my recovery. And Christina is definitely one of them. But yeah, when you say it takes a village, recovery gives that a whole new definition. It takes a village.
Yeah. So before we get into, your story, give the Modern Meeting audience a little, just, who you are, where you're from, just before we get into the gambling. Tell us about yourself.
So, I'm from a small town in Kansas, 20,000 people. Super small. I've got 5 kids. We are a blended family. My husband and I have been together nearly 30 years. He had 3, I had 2. We came together and we have 12 grandkids. I live for my family. I love my grandkids dearly. They are just everything. I do hair for a living. That's how I make a living. Gosh, I don't know. What else do you want to know?
He's a Chiefs fan.
Oh, yeah. That's the only thing about you, Linda. Everything else is perfect. except that you're a Chiefs fan.
You know what? I almost came on here in full Chiefs gear.
Oh, God. Don't do it. Um,
Whatever. And
so
I thought, no, that's not what this is about. Be a grown up.
it
No,
would have
listen, say it loud, say it proud. We New Englanders have done it for years.
been a good social clip next time. That's funny though. So I'll ask you the question I ask everybody. Before we go to the beginning, do you remember the moment that you realized, I may have a problem with gambling?
I remember several moments. I mean, there's not just one. I'm going to go back to kind of before I had a problem. A friend and I had gone to a casino like 30 minutes away. I live in the southeast corner of Kansas, where in 15 minutes you can be in Oklahoma, and there is, casino, 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 casino. So I'm going to tell you, I gambled for 30 years recreationally. And by that, I mean like once a year, twice a year, like $50, not, day out with the girls, not, and no problem. Didn't get it why somebody would have a gambling problem. Just absolutely didn't get it. But one day, my friend and I had gone to a casino that's like, I don't know, 25, 30 minutes away. And I lost $130. So I know usually in meetings we don't talk about money, and freaked out, absolutely freaked out on $130. Ended up getting it back, cashed out, and we left. And like, I'm thankful all the way home I hadn't lost that $130. Fast forward, I don't know, 3 or 4 years. And I remember the first time I lost $100. I remember the first time I lost $300. I remember the first time I lost $600 and thought clearly, you got a freaking problem. This isn't okay. This is really not okay. And that was probably 5 years before recovery.
So essentially,
it just progressed.
Yeah. So essentially, from 18 to your late 40s, no issue.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't have an issue till, I was probably 54, 55.
Okay. So, and then it was like a rough roller coaster 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to say 6 years of increasingly harmful behavior.
Yeah. So, the obvious first question is, have you been able to figure out like what changed? How did it go from, something you could do casually to all of a sudden, what am I doing?
Yeah. Oh man, I have put so much thought into this. Even while I was still in active addiction, I would try to analyze it. I'd try to figure it out. Because man, I think of myself as a fairly smart woman, and I've always been pretty good with money. To go from where I was to where I ended up, it just puzzled me. And that was part of the problem. I kept thinking I could outsmart it. I kept thinking that I could be smart enough to beat this addiction on my own. I thought I could, set limits and stick to them. And every time I proved to myself that I couldn't, every time. But for me, and I always say this, I had 10 really tough years. 10 years that people, I went into business with my brother, and I'm not going to go like super hard into that, but through some really tough turns, lost every dime I had. That was before gambling ever started. It was just a really, really tough time in life. Toward the end of that, a casino opened in our area. And what by in our area, we'd always had casinos in the area, but like 4 minutes from where I worked, just down the highway. The first year it was open, I didn't go, not once. Had no interest. It just was not a big deal. But at the end of our business closing, some other kind of things happened. Almost some I want to say inconsequential facts, but my husband and I moved from probably in agreement from what was in my dream house to a trailer in the country. Um, this is going to sound terrible of me. My home means something to me. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be fancy, but I like to decorate my home. Having good light in my home, all of those things, having a place that I feel really good about, good in, means something to me. And we moved in agreement to this place where we were going to build in the country. And my husband farms, that was out close to his farm. It placed me 45 minutes from work. I was driving back and forth every day and living in a place that I was truly uninspired, that I just hated. And that sounds so materialistic of me, but it's not. I mean, I don't mean it that way. It just was a place I didn't like being. And that was difficult.
Yeah, I can totally understand that. So I want to bring it back a little bit, and not getting into sort of the details about going into business and all of that, but what you're saying and what I'm sort of hearing and kind of connecting on, and I could be off on this, but is just sort of that you had trust in this business, you had trust in the world, you had trust in people in your life, and you lose, that trust is broken at a certain point.
Yeah.
And now you feel as though, you're not in the home you want to be in. The business didn't succeed. And so the only person you have left is yourself.
Yeah.
And so I'm just curious, who are who's the first person that you really allowed yourself to open up to possibly trust with, talking about the addiction or talking about possibly seeking recovery? Because I know, for me, I got to a point in my life where I felt like I was taking on the world alone, and I hid so much of my addiction because I didn't trust anybody with this sort of information.
Yeah. Wow. Jen, this is why I identify to you, because you just nailed it. Absolutely freaking nailed it. I just felt super alone.
Yeah.
In the midst of all of this happening, my son, my second youngest, developed a meth addiction. So I'm going to tell you, the business, it meant a lot to me, but not that much. Mm-hmm. The home, it meant a lot to me, but it wasn't everything. To me, being a mom was everything. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of, that I don't like to be out of control. I don't like to be, like that helpless, out of control feeling. That's probably my biggest downfall. That's what kind of took me there. During my son's addiction, it spanned, I don't know, roughly 5 years. There was nothing I could do about it. It broke me on levels I can't even explain to you. I would have told you all along, the business failed. I'm not living in the home I want, but it doesn't matter, because if I'm a good mom, that's the only thing that matters. Yeah. And that was the nail in my coffin. They talk in these rooms of recovery about isolation. And I was isolating before I started gambling. How do you, in your group of friends, it's part of my story is me learning to set boundaries, is me learning to speak my truth. Instead of trying to fix for everyone else, I just need to learn to speak what's on my mind.
Were you gambling when he was going through what he was going through?
I had started gambling. So the casino had opened. Most of this is his story to tell, but this is just a snippet that there was a time when he was homeless for a while. We live in a small town. The girls I work with would be like, Linda, I feel like I see your son walk by here. And I'd be like, yeah, you kind of do. I would sometimes leave a client to go drive down Broadway just to make contact with him, just to, because this is my child. This is my child who is most like me. Easy smile, people pleaser, super compassionate. There was a time when he'd been arrested, and I would man, to stand in the local courthouse where everybody knows you. Some of this is ego and it's hard, but to watch them bring him in shackles and know how that's hurting him and it's hurting you. I would leave. I mean, every single court date, I was standing in that courtroom because he was going to see my face and know I loved him. Even though I wasn't going to bail him out, he was going to see my face and know I loved him and I cared and I'm there. How do you convey to your friends, you know, like they're saying, Mom, my daughter just graduated. My daughter just got engaged. I just stood in the courthouse and watched them bring my child in. He is so smart. You know, high ACT scores, you know, full ride scholarships to local state university. I just watched them bring him in shackles into the local courtroom. And instead of saying anything, I would go to the casino. I mean, absolutely. When I had overwhelming feelings that I could not deal with, the casino was someplace I could go alone. I could sit in front of that box of lights and pictures that just distracted me. I could hit a button and it would make those feelings, they would push those feelings down for just a couple of minutes. And those couple of minutes, I mean, quite frankly, was survival. At that moment, it was survival. And I leaned into that, thinking it was harmless. I thought it was a place I could go and I could do this. And like so many other people, on a relatively low bet, I hit a pretty sizable jackpot. I mean, the perfect storm. I mean, lots of trauma in my life, lots of stuff going on. At the lowest freaking point in my life, I'm leaning into this as a distraction. It's funny because at the Midwest Conference, I had the absolute pleasure of hearing Wiley Harwell explain to me why that happened in my brain. And we'll talk about that maybe another time because that's way too much for this. But the way the dopamine starts to mimic the serotonin, it makes you, it gives you those same feelings that spirituality give you. I don't know, that sounds really crazy, but that's the truth. It gave me some sense of peace for a little while. It gave me some sense of something that I don't even know. That's what I can just say. I leaned into that, and before I knew it, it was a problem.
You know, just when I thought that you were already a great guest for the Modern Meeting, but like we're uncovering this thing. So you have lived experience. You're also an effective loved one. Like, so, I mean, you know, you're checking a lot of boxes right now. There's a lot of people shaking their heads. Yes. But did you and your husband ever have, like, what was your strategy once you realized that he had a problem? Did you guys take the route of like helping and helping and helping, and then eventually you realized that, you know, he's gonna suffer his consequences? Hope he makes it out on the other side. Like, did you make that difficult decision that so many parents can't make? Like, what did you guys do?
Yeah. So over the course of 2.5 years, first I helped a lot. That's my personality. I am, you know, I stopped short of saying I'm codependent, but yeah, I just take everything on. I feel like I have to make everything right. Over about 1.5 years of understanding that I couldn't, and I knew I couldn't. It was becoming obvious. I was helping all I could, and his addiction was getting worse. At one point, like I said, he was homeless. I had always maintained he couldn't live with us. He couldn't come back home until he'd gone to rehab. 3 arrests, some jail time later, he was ready to go to, and you know, and this is another thing, because when the addict is ready to go, help is like 6 weeks out and they're gone again. They've disappeared by then. They're back into their addiction. It's just, it's difficult. So I'll kind of fast forward. It's like 2.5 years later, he'd gone to rehab. He came back and lived with us. It was pretty much bad right from the very beginning. Our house was chaos. We had come to a crisis at one point, one day, that he had to leave our home. And I had to have my son, who I love more than anything in this world, evicted from our home. The sheriff came.
Now, what was during that time, were you and your husband kind of a united front on that? Or was that difficult to navigate as a team?
So my husband is an awesome, awesome man. He is, I don't know if you know farmers. They're quiet. They work really, really hard.
I live with a bunch of farmers, so I get it.
Yeah, he doesn't, not a lot of words come from this man. And I'm somebody who processes things by lots of words. He's had some trauma, and I'll leave that for his story. But in his early youth, he had some pretty hard trauma. The death of his father at a really young age, in a traumatic way. And my husband's coping mechanism is to go into a tractor or combine and just work things out on his own. But he is an awesome man. He's not a great partner. I hate to say that, but he's a loner. He's a loner, and he doesn't talk things through. And I felt very alone, where he was supportive and always welcoming my son in. His view was kind of, let's not push him too far, keep him close. Maybe this will pass. That's my husband's,
Yeah.
And
I think that's good, though, that, you can recognize that in him, and
it is.
It can help you guys sort of come together on that. But I just think that we're talking about a lot of heavy stuff here, and
yeah, it is. It's hard. And that's what, I ended up, I've got lots of friends. It's kind of funny for somebody who is fairly social. I really very much led a double life. I went to work every single day because I had to. I worked because there were things that needed to be supported. And, I don't talk to my clients about my son has a meth addiction. I'm gambling freaking out of control. No, I smile. Yeah, everything's great. We laugh, we talk. I very much was a person who at some point could have done something to myself and everybody would have went, she was so happy. What was the problem? People would hug me. The people who knew what was going on in my life, they would hug me and they would be like, you're so strong. I don't know anybody stronger. And I was thinking, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm a freaking mess.
Yeah. Yeah. So, we want to get back to, we want to get back to you. But like Jen said, just your honesty is so powerful. You have no idea. And it's so important that we continue to share these stories. But what ended up happening with your son? Is he okay now, or is he still?
He's 3.5 years in recovery.
Ah,
hell yes.
Awesome. I am unbelievably proud of him.
Oh my God. Thank God. Because this was getting, whoo.
Yeah. He actually found recovery and I was still stuck in my addiction.
God bless him.
But I'm telling you.
But so hold on. So this is good. Wait, I'm sorry, Jen. I was just going to say, so he gets into recovery and you're still gambling.
Yeah.
Ooh, so let's dive into that. So like, two-part question. Number one, as you were in active addiction, were you realizing there were similarities between the two of you? And number two,
Adam, you took my question.
And number two, well, actually answer that one first, and then we'll go from there.
100%.
Yeah. So talk about that.
At one point I had said to my son early on in his addiction, because I just didn't get it. I didn't get it. He's so smart and so many things going for him. And like I said, he's my child that is probably the most like me. We're both a little overweight. We both are people pleasers. We both are very compassionate. And he had said to me, like, he had had some traumas of his own that had happened. Um, and he tried meth. And he said the first time he tried it, he had all of this energy and he could go to work. He could do everything that he needed to do to keep up with things in his life that also felt overwhelming and out of control. He lost some weight and he was starting to get some attention for, he was losing weight and looking good. I can 100% identify with both of those things. The way I slipped into gambling, it was like a comfortable old friend that was like helping me deal with things nobody else could until it was ugly and really ugly. And I mean, leaving me beaten and bloody ugly. And I still would turn around and go back the next day.
What was your, take us through like a typical day when you were gambling. What did you play? Where did you go?
So I'm a brick and mortar slots gambler.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
So I work typically 4 days a week. I do 2 12-hour days, a 10-hour day, and then I work Saturdays like 4, 5, 6 hours, whatever it takes.
You're like a firefighter. Holy cow. You're cutting hair the whole time.
So Mondays and Wednesdays, I'm off. No accountability. So my typical day I'd get up and I'd always tell myself the same things. I'm going to run my errands. I'm going to stop at the casino for just a bit, hour at the most. And 5, 6 hours later, I'm still there. Just lost. I always joked, and I hope this doesn't offend anybody. I was the only one at the casino at 9:00 in the morning without my own oxygen. I was by far the youngest person there, I'm there with, which, I just had my Social Security birthday. So I guess I'm going to hell for laughing at old people because now here I am. But yeah, I was gambling with, all the people with walkers and, their own oxygen and at 9:00 in the morning. I'm not a nighttime gambler. It was very rare that I was there ever in the after dark.
Interesting.
When you start to lose control, take in $100 and leave the rest of your money in the car. And before you know it, I'm acting like I'm on my phone, going to the car to get the rest of my money.
So
driving home to get the rest of my money, driving to the bank to get the rest of anybody's money.
You say anybody's money. What do you mean by that?
Well, I'll elaborate on that. My husband and I have always kept separate accounts. I had a business. He had a business. My husband has always said, this is one of his sayings, don't spend your money like you're mad at it. He very much, he's conservative. He grips his money tight. He used to tell me, in some ways I'm married to Sheldon Cooper.
Bazinga.
I don't know if you guys are Big Bang fans, but
Jen doesn't watch TV or movies or anything.
Oh man, well,
she has no idea what we're talking about.
My husband is somewhere very high functioning on the spectrum. He speaks always with incredible total truth. Always. If it hurts your feelings, it hurts your feelings. He doesn't mean it that way. He never, but so at one point he said, if you're ever going to leave me, will you tell me? Because I don't think I'll ever see it coming. This is years ago. And I joked with him and I said, I'll never leave you, babe. I'll just take your checkbook because that'll hit you where it hurts. Fast forward 15 years and many years into my addiction, I was always incredibly responsible with his checking account. If I spent money for, say, like his kids or for whatever that was farm use, I wrote it on the check and I'd say, hey, I spent this much money. This came out of the farm account. progressing into my addiction, into the later parts, I started to write checks out of the farm account with no explanation. And at one point, I mean, this was way in. I knew I had an enormous problem. It was ugly. It was hard. I was lying about where I was going. I was, maxed out credit cards. I was spending every dime that I made. And I mean, I work hard for my money, and I would still drive to the casino and just blow it in nothing flat.
What now? Was he questioning you on it, or
not right away?
Yeah.
So that's one thing about my husband. He's pretty patient. He sits back, he watches. And one day I walked in the farmhouse, farm trailer, and I said, and he had a bank statement. And he said, there's a lot of money, a lot of checks with no explanation. And I knew, I mean, I'd been waiting. I honestly, I wasn't even surprised. Ironically enough, the week before I had called the 1-800 gambler hotline and just, I need help.
Wow.
They had set me up with a counselor. I had been one time, and he, I mean, I hate this. I hate this in me that I have lied about so many things. But for one time in my life, he looked at me and he said, "Is this due to gambling?" And I said, "Yes."
So that's your husband?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so my husband that always speaks his truth looked at me square in the eye and said, "You don't understand. This could be a deal breaker for me."
Yeah, I mean, you hear all the time, like, where the person struggling with gambling confesses to the spouse, and then they're like, "We'll get through this." It's. I mean, once again, I feel like your story is just filled with a lot of hard truths, and it's like, yeah, there are some people that are like, this could be a deal breaker.
Yeah.
So,
no, and that, like, this literally answers my question earlier of, who is the first person that you decide to let in with a little bit of trust? Because that's usually exactly what happens.
Totally.
The first time you're like, you know what? Fuck it. Yep. Here you go. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. Cut that, Adam.
Say what?
I think you're fine. Honestly, there's so many little frustrations.
This is the modern meeting, baby.
It's not my first go. It's not my first go-to.
Yeah.
But I'll even give you a fuck. So
Okay, I feel better now.
Sorry, okay.
The redness will drain from my face.
No more though. No more. Unless Linda wants to.
You know what? You do you. I'm.
But it's not anything against those people. But it is when you feel like you're against the world. Usually that first person that you're like, all right, you know what? I gotta open up my trust to someone. They usually are so like, oh, I don't want it. And that can be really difficult.
So I have a question. When you have 5 kids, 12 grandkids, is it ever going through your mind when you keep hitting that button, like, I'm not just hurting myself, but I'm potentially hurting all these other people?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I will say, so my youngest child right now is 30. My daughter at the time, my youngest, was deployed to Kuwait. There was just so much going on that, to be honest, I mean, I was hurting myself and I was hurting my husband.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to, I'm not.
Yeah, no, 100%.
I just feel like when you have all that surrounding you, it's just interesting to me that, that's just, I guess it just speaks to the power of the disease. You know what I mean?
Oh, regularly, so I would get off work on Saturday, sometimes at 2, whatever. And at this point, my son was gone. Didn't exactly, anyway, I would go to pick up his 2 kids and keep them on the weekend. And they're young. So if I couldn't pick them up till, say, 5 or whatever, I would go to the casino in between. Mm-hmm. And I mean, sometimes I would, I'd leave. I had lost all my freaking money. I maybe had lost more money than I should have or could have. I mean, this brings, I don't know about how it is where you guys are, but the local casinos here, you can go to the Cage and get up to $5,000.
Like on credit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to
yeah.
have that money in the bank.
Yeah. Yeah. You
You
must have had good
just
credit.
get it.
Yeah.
But, and thank God I never used all of it.
Mm.
But there was times that I used way more than I had.
Mm.
And I'm picking them up. I'm loving on them. And I'm thinking, are you crazy? This is what life's about.
Yes. That's what I always
This is
say.
what makes you happy. This is what life's
Yes.
about. How are
Yes.
you doing this?
Yes.
And I would still go back. That's the addiction.
No.
There's no rhyme or reason for it. It's just crazy that, I don't know how much you want to fast forward, but I'll take you back to the moment that my husband, confronted me, and
Yeah.
it was hard.
Yeah,
And
like-
I told him I knew I had a problem. I'll answer anything that you want. Ask me anything. I'm just completely open. I told him I had started counseling. The following Monday, he went to counseling with me. I think because he wanted to see that I was telling the truth.
Right.
That that's where I was going.
So was this essentially the last straw? Like this was the rock bottom that got you into recovery, or no?
It's not.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Keep going.
It's not. I had white knuckled through. I went to counseling. I just white knuckled through, and I made 7 or 8 months. It was hard. I was working. Out of fear. I was afraid. I was just flat out afraid that I had blown my life up. My credit's shit. I maxed out on credit cards. My husband has lost trust in me. And that meant that's my biggest probably regret, is because I don't know, for 20 some years, I gave him no reason to doubt me. And then I blew that up. And that is an enormous regret. So my youngest daughter was getting married in Vegas.
Wait, so hold on. When you're white knuckling it, does your family know you're going to counseling for gambling or no?
My husband does. Nobody else knows.
No one else. Oh, see, yeah. Okay, keep going.
No
keep
one
going.
else knows. No
Keep
one
going.
knows. I don't think anybody knows a thing. No one knows.
At any point, did your counselor say you should tell your loved ones?
My counselor was not very good.
Yeah, he doesn't sound good. Anyways, keep going. So you're in Vegas.
Every time I said I'm a compulsive gambler, he would say, "So you say you're a compulsive gambler?"
And for those not watching on YouTube, she just made air quotes. So he's an idiot.
And
Awesome.
and I knew I needed more. And I'd said to him, isn't there like Gamblers Anonymous I can go through? I need people to talk to. And he was like, well, yeah, you could try Gamblers Anonymous. There's not much in this area. He printed me out some meetings that are like 2.5 hours from me. There is nothing locally here. I didn't know about Zoom. I'm not very techy. I didn't know about Zoom. I just didn't know anything about it. And I'm just vain enough that I'm afraid I'm going to look stupid on something. Even like for this, before this meeting, I just, I prayed, I'll hear what I need to hear and I'll say what I need to say. And just, please, God, don't let me look stupid. Just let me do this with grace. And that's just my ego talking that I need to let go of.
Yeah, that's Linda. That's Linda being silly, because you always say good stuff.
I left counseling one day and I just felt empty. I knew I'm getting nothing.
Yeah.
I need more. And I sat in my car on my phone in the counselor's parking lot and I Googled women compulsive gamblers, and the Broke Girls Society came up. And I sat in the parking lot and I watched a podcast of Brian Hatch and Christina and Tara. And I thought, oh my God, I connected to that.
Yes.
I connected to that, and I listened. And the counselor's office was 40 minutes from home, and I listened all the way home. And I thought, okay. And I got home, and during that time, I found that there was a Facebook page, and I logged on because I do Facebook. I logged on, and I found Broke Girl Society on Facebook, and I just started to watch. But I didn't. So we left for Vegas. I was scared. I really was. I knew it was a mistake, but this wedding had been planned for a year. I had to go. This is my daughter. And we were going with like 25 other people. So this is me.
And this is post you listening to Broke Girl Society.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was somewhere in there.
Okay. So
I didn't stop.
So you had that. But you weren't gambling while you went to the counseling.
I was not gambling.
So I'm assuming you're about to tell us that you gambled in Vegas.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's hear about that.
I was not prepared for Vegas.
Well, why would you? You're going to a counselor for 8 months who didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. Ooh, excuse my language, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we got off the plane in Vegas, and I knew immediately. Shit, this is a mistake. But I thought, it's okay. I'm with my husband.
Oh my God.
He knows, and that's going to keep me honest.
Yeah.
And we walked down onto the strip, and he didn't know either. We walk in with all of our family, and they sit down and start playing dollar poker in a casino. There's these machines all around me. I honestly was a little pissed because I thought my husband was going to defend me a little. You know what I mean? I thought.
But there had to have been some type of conversation before the trip. You literally, this is after he, you took money out of the account. He didn't say to you, like, you should gamble or not gamble. It was just kind of, yeah, see? So it's just like a lack of communication and a lack of
he doesn't talk.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't talk.
Great farmer, though. Great farmer. I mean, he's a good man. Yeah.
He doesn't talk. No conversation whatsoever. None. Yeah. We get there, and I mean, I was kind of mad because I mean, like, he left me unsupervised. Like, he sits down and starts playing dollar poker with my son-in-law and two of our son-in-laws. And I flat out looked at him, sat where he could see me, put $100 bill in a machine, and started to play.
What was the number when the dust settled? How much did you lose?
That in Vegas?
Yeah.
Not that much, because $300, $400.
Okay.
Because we were there for 4 days, and I didn't gamble at all the day of the wedding. I went with my daughter to get her.
Yeah, your mother of the bride. So
I did her hair. We had a beautiful day. It was. I gambled none that day, not at all, and I'm proud of that. I stayed very present in the moment. In Vegas, I mean, I really didn't have a lot of alone time. So even two of my daughters, all three of our daughters, were watching me gamble that night while the guys were playing poker. And I know they were a little bewildered because I'm gambling. And they're like, wait, you just won like $200. Stop. I mean, like, one of my daughters put $20 in a machine, and she was like, it was gone in like 15 minutes. I'm not doing this anymore. And I'm just playing. And honestly, I'm playing pretty conservative. I'm playing very conservative. I'm playing like $1.50 a bet. And they are looking at me like, are you nuts? So at one time, one of my daughters, I handed her my wallet and said, hang on to this. I'm done. There was a few times I gambled a little on my own, but we left Vegas, but I didn't stop. I come home, still gamble. I just don't leave that in Vegas. I come home and go on gambling for the next, I don't even know. That was October till spring. I'm gambling too much. I'm being a little conservative because now I can't use my husband's money. I'm having to hold it to what I have.
And so were
But
you maxing out credit cards or trying to borrow or anything like that? Or is just, you're just,
I'm spending everything I've got. I
yeah.
never did do like the payday loans. I had a credit card with a high limit that was paid off, and I used it. In the meanwhile, in January, after we came home in October, my 10-year-old at the time grandson is life flighted to Children's Mercy in Kansas City and is diagnosed with cancer. This is without a doubt a child in my life that I would give my own life for in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. In some ways, I mean, I know it's not the way it works, but I'm thinking, is God punishing me? And I mean, I prayed and I prayed and I prayed, and I promised God, I'll stop gambling. I'll stop gambling if you just let this be okay. I can stop. And I couldn't stop. I couldn't. And that is, in the end, that is what I came home from the casino one day after an enormous loss. I mean, and these are the days that I'm considering self-harm, because I can't stop this addiction. With all in me, I can't stop this addiction. And I will not let it take my family down. I will not. And I mean, I never had an actual plan. I ran through many scenarios. I knew it had to look like an accident because I wouldn't let my kids carry that it was self-harm. I went through probably 2 months of being very close, really struggling, really just, and honestly, again, I don't know, just part of the plan. I had to be brought down. I had to be brought to my knees, and indeed I was. So one night I came home from the casino. I had lost a bundle of money. So in the meanwhile, my husband knows that I'm very unhappy living out where we're living, and we buy a house in close to where I work, a house that I love. And all of a sudden I'm living in this house alone a lot, totally unaccounted for, 5 minutes from the casino. I don't know, irony. It was a perfect storm. It just was a bad deal. So I'm gambling too much. My grandson is very ill. We're going at this point every weekend. He's in Kansas City for 10 weeks, undergoing chemotherapy, and just a very, very hard situation. And I'm taking his sister every weekend, and we're spending, 2 nights in a hotel. I'm helping my son stay there. So I'm spending all of my money, and everything else is going on a credit card because I'm spending too much. I went into this situation, talk about feeling guilty, in the worst financial shape of my life and needing to spend a lot of money. And I put it on, I just maxed out a credit card doing it. So one night I come home from the casino. I log on to Facebook. When Christina Cook says broke and broken, that was me. Absolutely broke and broken. I mean, broken. It's the only way I can describe it. I logged on to Facebook, and there was a meeting advertised on Broke Girls Society for a Friends Helping Friends meeting. It was a Zoom meeting at 6:00. I had looked into Zoom before and just thought, I don't know how to do this. I need somebody to show me how am I, and I was desperate enough that I went to the Apple store, downloaded Zoom, and logged on to that meeting. And to the credit of the host of the meeting, I'm going to shout out Alan Kay. He was hosting the meeting, and I didn't know how Zoom worked. I didn't know that they knew I was in the room. I think I'm just like lurking and listening. And he calls on me and he says, Linda F., you're new. Would you like to turn on your camera and introduce yourself? And I freaking flipped out. Like, oh my God, they know I'm here. And I said nothing. And he said, and to his credit, he said, it's okay. No big deal. Stick around and listen. We'll circle back. And if you want to speak, speak. And if you just want to listen, listen. And they're a 2-hour meeting. And I listened for an hour and a half. And after an hour and a half, he said to me, Linda, would you like to introduce yourself? And I turned on my camera and I turned on my microphone and I started talking.
I love that.
So much.
That was, I don't know, 450 days ago.
Hell yeah.
And that was the beginning of my recovery.
So now, so many questions.
What an empowering moment, though.
Oh, it changed my life. For an hour and a half, I listened to people tell stories that I related to, that were me. In one way or another, that were me. I wasn't alone. I had found my people.
Yeah.
I had found people that when I spoke and when I started to speak, I can't even remember. I mean, I was crying. I couldn't string a sentence together. I was just, and they understood. They literally, like, now I'm sure you know that you've heard a million times, they said, let us love you till you can love yourself. I wasn't alone. All I remember saying is, I know I have to stop and I don't know if I can. And they told me, that's okay. You just come back tomorrow. That's all you have to do is come back tomorrow. And I did. And I came back a third day and I came back a fourth day and I came back a fifth day until I started to believe that I could stop, until I started to believe that, okay, maybe I can do this. Alan Kay, that was a Wednesday that I signed off. Typically, Mondays and Wednesdays were my gambling days. And on Sunday, he called me. I'm with my grandkids. And he said, he's from New York. Linda, it's Alan Kay. How you doing? I was like, I'm doing okay. You know, yeah, I'm hanging with my grandkids. He said, what's your plan for tomorrow? I'm like, I'm not sure. He said, if you're not going to gamble, you need a plan. And he was right. So what's your plan?
Is Alan Kay still around?
He is.
What a fuck.
He
Alan
is.
Kay.
Yeah.
We got to get him to come on the Modern Meeting. I want to meet this guy.
He probably would. You know, and he stuck with me, you know, like, so we talked a little bit, like, what's your plan? I said, okay, well, I'm going to, you know, tomorrow, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. He said, I tell you what, you keep it simple, stupid. That's what he told me. You want to have a good day. You want to have a bad day. If you want to have a good day, you don't gamble. That's all you got to do. And so I made a plan. He was like, make a plan. You stick to your plan. I'll talk to you tomorrow. And he did.
I just got to say this. Jen, you know what I'm about to say, right?
Go ahead.
I mean, I don't know if I should say this because this is why I got here in the first place. But I mean, when I hear Alan Kay talk to you in those words and in that tone, if he said that to the wrong person, you know, he may be looked at as you're too aggressive or you're not being welcoming, but it's just, I don't know where to go with this, but I appreciate the fact that he gave you some tough love and you were able to accept it.
I needed it
because you knew he was just coming from a place of support.
And he'd been there. At that point, he was 8 years clean. And I knew I needed a plan. I needed to do what people who went before me did.
Yeah.
That's what I needed.
Preach,
He'd been
Linda.
there.
But I also think that there's everyone's different. The me and the Lindas in the world, we are overthinkers, and we need somebody to take our brain and shake all of that out, keep it simple, stupid. And it's not like that. I've heard that saying a lot in my GA room, and it's not keep it simple, stupid as in your name. Just keep it simple. It's like stupidly simple. Break it down to this.
No, they're calling you stupid.
And
okay.
like Alan Kay, when he said it, he laughed. He's like, "Keep it simple, stupid."
Yeah.
Yeah. He was never.
It's also It's also a sales thing when you're closing.
Yeah.
Keep it simple, stupid. ABC always be closing. Yeah, no.
Some people in this world, though, like us, we need that.
Yeah.
No, Alan, I'm glad there's still some people out there doing it. That's all I'll say.
Fast forward, it's kind of funny because I'm a note taker. I always have. You know, the simplest little things. I just need to. So that was on Monday. Friday that week, I'm at work. I've got a long day and something goes haywire and we end up having to shut down early at the shop. So, what's worse for a compulsive gambler than to have extra time? I've lost money at work. Of course, I think I'm going to make it up. You're never going to, so I leave the shop at like 2:00 when I'm supposed to be working until like 6 or 7. And I get in the car and my first thought is, I got casino time. And I sat in the car. I wanted to go so bad in the parking lot at work. And I wrote on a legal pad, like I don't know, a second grader. I want to have a good day. I want to have a good day. I want to have a good day. I just wrote it over and over and over and over and over until that urge passed. And it took a while, like 30, 40 minutes. But that taught me that urge does pass. And then I went to the grocery store. I got groceries. I came home and made dinner. And that taught me I didn't have to give into that urge. And, I knew I had to just make it till 6:00 my time and I could get on a meeting and I could vent that and I could talk about it.
Yeah, that's exactly, I was just going to ask. So when you had that urge, were you able to go to someone and say, hey, I had an urge today? Because I think that can be difficult for people new in recovery, connecting with people who have been in recovery for years who are like, I don't get urges anymore. It can be hard to say, well, I had an urge today, because it can be alarming. But I think it's great.
Still, 15 months in, I still have urges.
Yeah.
I say they whisper to me now. They don't shout like they used to. But they're still there.
So to sum it all up, I want you to, so correct me if I'm wrong. So basically your last 15 months has been Zoom meetings. Did you ever go to GA or no? No.
So Friends Helping Friends it's not a GA backed meeting, but they do read the yellow book at every meeting. There's 3 readings. They follow the rules. Page 17 is very much,
okay. Interesting.
GA is my foundation. Not too long ago, we went to Chicago and I was kind of unprepared for that too. In Chicago, there's gambling on every corner. It was in our hotel. It was every freaking where. I didn't know that. We walked into our hotel, which was not a casino hotel, and there's a small casino. So at this point, I've got, I don't know, probably a little bit more than a year in. And I will tell you, every morning I get up, and I go down and get coffee, and I'd sit in the lobby and I'd talk to Alicia and be like, man, this is what's going on here and whatever. And one day my husband, who says nothing, never said there's every restaurant we go to has a casino. Our hotel has a casino. My husband never says a word. But I watched him come down and get coffee, and I'm sitting in the lobby, and he turns his back and he goes and looks in the casino. And I wasn't there. I was so proud I was not there.
Yes.
That was a win. I don't blame him for looking. I don't blame him for wondering. But it was such a win that I was able to watch him look and know I was never there. I didn't have to worry about that I was never there.
And we will be right back. The Modern Meeting is supported by Evive. Hey guys, it's me, Adam. So, let me tell you a quick story. I wake up, I do my daily check-in, I see how many days away from a bet I am, I log how I'm feeling, I document how strong my urge is to gamble, and I journal. And that's how I start every day. And I do it all on my phone using Evive. With gambling now being so easily accessible via phone, I love the fact that recovery is now just as accessible. Evive is a free digital platform built by people in recovery for people in recovery. Whether you're still struggling, have 10 years away from a bet, or 10 hours away from a bet, Evive has specific tracks for all that can cater to you wherever you're at in your recovery. Download Evive today or visit getevive.com to learn more. Your journey, your choices, your support. And now, back to the episode.
I was in recovery for 45 days before I told my husband. So first I'm lying about gambling. And then I'm lying about being in recovery. And the people in the GA rooms, the people in the rooms of recovery helped me understand. The counselor didn't. The people in the rooms helped me understand you need to share this with your husband. They gave me the courage that one day I walked downstairs and I said, here's the deal. I've been disappearing upstairs to the office because I've been doing online GA Gamblers Anonymous meetings. And he said, okay. And he said, were you honest with them about telling them you've gambled in Vegas? And I said, yeah, I'm honest with them because I don't lie to them about anything. And I said, while we're on that subject, I didn't stop when we came home. And he just went, oh my God, Linda. And I said, I know. And I said, I just was completely honest with, compulsive gamblers have the highest rate of suicide. And he said, did you ever consider that? And I said, yeah, I did. And he just, he got in that moment, he was quiet and he understood.
Yeah.
And I said, I feel like it's important that I keep up these meetings because I want to stay gamble free for the rest of my life. And I know I need this community of people to help me. So from that point forward, y'all became my buddies. He'd say, how are your buddies in the computer? I'd say, okay.
Yeah.
And it opened the door where we discuss it some. We're still not there as far as like being super open and honest. Just night before last, we were talking on the phone because we still don't live together 99% of the time. Not because of conflict, but because he's farming and we have the house in town and says he's going to retire. I don't know if that's going to happen. We'll see. Anyway, we got some things we got to work out. But just the other night, he said, asked what I'd done that day. And I said, I did a meeting. And he said, how was it? And I told him it was good. And I said, then I visited with a sister that's in recovery that's really struggling. And we visited on the phone. And he said, I told her, he said, how many days, is she stringing together? And I just, we don't talk in detail about anybody, and he said, how long do you have? And I told him how long I had exactly. And he went, Linda. Well, I guess at least it's that long. Like he was freaking disappointed in me. To be honest, it gutted me because I need these rooms. It's you guys who understand what 15 months is, how hard fought that is, that it's not been easy. And I have worked my ass off for it. I do something for my recovery every single stinking day because my life depends on it. Mm. And for him to say, Linda, well, at least it's that long. So then I thought maybe he misunderstood. Maybe he thought I'd relapsed and I only had 5 months and not 15 months. So I repeated, I said 15 months, right? Mm. And I'm not sure he really quite got it.
Yeah. We say it all the time. If you don't have it, you can never truly understand it.
Yeah. It's the people in these rooms who really understand me, who really know what my fight is. And oddly enough, my son who fought his own meth addiction, he understands. I've shared probably more with him than anybody that I've stopped. All 5 of our kids know now I've stopped gambling. They don't know exactly the extent, but they're going to. I kind of organically, as it comes up, I share with them a little more and a little more.
Tell them. They're going to be so fucking proud of you. What are you doing? Tell them. Last question. What do you say to someone who is going to the Zoom, but it's not clicking? What is your advice to that person who is teetering on that line of wanting help, but it's not sticking?
You got to commit to the connection. You can't have 1 foot in and 1 foot out. You just can't. So, man, I've learned so much being in the rooms of recovery. Turn your camera on, make that connection. Let people see you in whatever state you are, because I don't give a shit what you look like. I just don't care. I want to see your face. I want to see your eyes, and I want to make that connection with you, because that's how I connect. That if you are isolating, the truth shall set you free. Just speak it. Once you speak those words, it takes away the power. Once you say it out loud, I'm having an urge and I'm really fighting this, it takes away the power. It just, don't lurk in the shadows. I mean, I get it. I get why for a while, I get that you need to do that. And being there is more important than not being there. But make that commitment to turn on your camera and speak your truth. And as ugly as it is, as hard as it is, you're going to find connection and people who understand. You're going to find a community who will love you, who will help you. I mean, I was the loneliest person I knew in a group of people because I wasn't speaking my truth. So,
Linda, thank you so much for being on the Modern Meeting. We're definitely going to have you back.
Linda, you're a rock star.
Tell
you guys
Alicia.
are awesome.
Tell Alicia we said hi. Shout out to Alicia. We're gonna have her on soon eventually. But yeah, Linda, thank you so much for sharing your story, and yeah, just keep fighting that good fight. We'll see you on Monday.
All right. I'll see you on Monday. Thanks,
right.
guys.
All right, we'll be right back.